Good morning and welcome to another edition of Money Talks with Stephen Diedrichs from Taxile Limited here on Radio Kidnappers. And this morning I'd just like to take another opportunity to thank Ken and his team for putting the program together. They do a great job here in all the engineering works, and also to our sponsors here at Radio Kidnappers, not only from our program but all the other programs that Ken and his team put on. We can't do that without our sponsors, so lots of gratitude go out to them. Today would like to share about trust, and not the structures of family trust, but just trust in with people and in our business. And especially this week, we found out that we're on a third stage of wage subsidy that's been put out, and also there's some talk in the economy about us going to negative interest rates. So that's going to have a big impact on all our businesses. However, I'd like to just step back and talk about trust, because I feel trust is a very important part of business, and it has a bigger impact. So, what is trust? And it can be different things to different people, but from a purely business perspective and in a nutshell, if you have high trust, then you have lots of speed and you can make money in your business and lots of sales a lot quicker, compared to if there's low trust, then you may take longer to make a decision. You may want more information from someone as to what this is actually going to involve and your commitment to it. So that takes time, and it does cost you, and then there's less sales that will be made. So I also want to touch on a couple of behaviors around trust as well. But just bringing it to the present for a second, in that we are in a COVID period, and which is especially important for us to have this good relationships, and we'd like to have just to have good relationships with our business partners, where our suppliers, for example, or financiers or landlords, where we have where they can be more lenient, especially our employees, to be more understanding with our business as to where we're at. So how do we get that? And that's where what we've done in the past is really important, which is where we go and look at trust. Because if we think that because we're in this COVID period, that all of a sudden we just have to show more trust and behave more trustworthy and expect others to trust us just because we're in COVID, I think if we have that sort of thinking, then in my view it's a flawed thinking, in that we must have developed trust way before. And the benefits of having to develop that trust way before is that if you have a business where, say the restaurant business, for example, where your suppliers would supply your tomatoes or breads or whatever you need it to make. So they've got to supply it, you've got to make it, but you only make the sale much later once someone's come in. But all of a sudden the business is shut down with COVID. Now, if you have a good trusting relationship with that supplier, they'd be more lenient toward you, because, for example, you may have always ordered from them and paid your bills on time, and also extended the range of products that you've ordered from them. So that would have occurred way before COVID and over time, and you'd have built up that trust bank account with them, so to speak. So that way, when we get to a COVID period, then you're more likely to receive more leniency. And that doesn't only go to your suppliers, it's also your financiers, the landlords, and employees, because they have seen that the way you act before. So that's a good way of looking at trust. Also, when it gets to to your employees. And a lot of us now are working from home, and even though in the rest of the country have gone on to level 2, there's still some people that are working from home, and that's a good thing for them. From a business point, over time you'd have worked out how your employees work. If there's certain employees that you do trust more than others, and when those people work from home, it's like a no-brainer. You just go, okay, yep, John or Mary's going to work from home. Let's just get her set up, and off she goes or he goes, and they're going to get results. You have trust. You don't even think about it. You just say, yeah, just take the computers or take whatever you want to take, what you need to work from home, and you don't think about it anymore. That's it. They're just gone. Then you may have someone like, some other employee, we won't give them a name, and you just know, okay, look, this employee, you're not 100% sure if they're really going to be as efficient at home as what they'd be in the office. So you'd make sure that they have the correct gear that they need to work at home, and it takes you a bit more time to get them set up. Then you have this other issue of when they're at home, are they just turning their computer on, or are they actually producing work and producing results? So that's going to take time from you, where you have to actually monitor that. It's maybe a phone call, or some people may be checking how long they're actually working on the computer. But all that is going to take time away from you doing something else in your business, because you have to monitor them. So that's where that's a lack of trust, and where there's a lack of trust, it does cost your business, and it does it just decreases your sales. So that's something that should be you should try look into, right? So So when you're looking at trust overall, right, in my view, I see it as a combination of character and competence, and it's So if you just think of it, you want someone that's they've got great character and integrity, that can do the job, and they an expert in that particular area as well. And on that point, I'm reminded of something I read in the book The Richest Man in Babylon, where one of the characters in the book had saved up money and gave it to a bread maker, and the bread maker was going to go off and buy some jewels from the Phoenicians. That's right. And as you can imagine, the bread maker took the money, bought the jewels, but they were not of good quality, and they were not jewels at all. So the motto of the story is, yes, the bread maker had great character, and you trust that person, but his competence in making bread was great. His competence in buying jewelry was not as great at all. So having trust in people is that you have to have that character and competence in the role that they do. So that's the two functions of character. Because I think I remember something. I heard Warren Buffett say that if you have somebody that has bad character but they're extremely competent, then you lost, because they're going to do lots of bad things because they have bad character. So so that's something good to remember. Trust being a function of the two of them. So also the other thing is, when you deliver results for clients, and especially today's times, it's important. It's delivering them fast and over again. That should be communicated to your clients, that you're doing that, so that they can recognize that, and it will build up trust in the future. Also, it's having that expectations where the client knows, you know what you expect from your staff, and also with your customers, where everybody's meeting the same expectations, so they don't think one thing and you think something else has to deliver. I can recall a good experience that I had many years ago, where my boss gave me a job to do, and the expectations were different. And to his credit, he acknowledged that we didn't sit down and do he didn't brief me quite well as what he should have. And we went back to the drawing board, and we got the job done. So that just cost us time and money at the end of the day, but we did get the job done, even though it was a bit later. So that's just things to keep in mind with trust and expectations. Now, there's a book by Stephen Covey called The Speed of Trust, and it lists a couple of behaviors there, and so that's it's something good that I'd suggest. If you're open to it, you can have a read of it. But just following on from my example and clarifying expectations, it's good to say tell your staff what your expectations are up front, and discuss it with them so that they understand what it is that you want, and also you could get a buy-in from them, because it's clear, and it's good to find out that they know what you want. And I think if one thinks of it, or one way you could think of it is, if you hire a new employee, you may think, yep, okay, this employee's got communication skills, and let's say you finish the end of year financial statements, or your business has installed some new equipment at your customer's premises. So you send your new employee out to discuss the equipment or the financial statements, and the employee comes back and is all happy because both the customers are happy that the equipment works as was said, and everything is ticking over nicely, or the other customers happy that their tax they have to pay is what they expected. So it was good. The new employee comes into the office and they're all happy because the customer's happy. However, your expectation is that the employee would have gone out and discussed the new equipment or the financial statements and thought of, okay, let's look to the future. What other pain points are there? Where does the business want to go in the future? And how can your company help them get to that future point? And did that new employee set up another appointment time where you can then discuss the new problems that your customer has? So that may be your expectation on the communication for your employee, but your employee may not even have thought about that. So it's important to put that expectation up front and let people know exactly, look, this is what I mean when I talk about communication, and this is what I'd expect you to do. So that's that's something that's very important on that. Okay, so and if you take that further, now because you haven't explained that to your employee, when you give that employee another job to do, that job is most likely going to take longer, not because the employee cannot do it in a shorter time frame, but more because they cannot trust that what you've actually told them and asked them to do is what you actually want them to do. So they're going to be sitting there and getting the job done as they think it needs to be done, and they're going to be super efficient at it, and it's going to be great. But the one thing that's going to stop it from being completed is the fact that they're not 100% sure if that's what you actually meant when you gave them the instruction. So they're going to have some stress level happening, and so it's going to just cause a delay, which causes the business, which makes the business not as profitable as what it could be. And for you personally, it's just going to reduce the trust that they have in you. So that's something that that is important. Now, that trust can also be extended with customers. For example, your customer may come into the business and say, look, we want this, and we want it quick, and we want it the best quality and at the lowest cost. And I think that's probably all customers, including myself. We just want it quick, we want it yesterday, and we don't want to pay much for it. So look, we can look at that, and we can basically we can go one of two ways. Just tell a customer, you're going to get two of the three. You're going to get it quick, and you're going to get it cheap, but you're not going to get good quality, right? Or you're going to get low quality, quick, and expensive. So, yep. Or it's going to take long to complete. It's going to be good quality, and it's going to cost a low price, but it's just going to take you longer to complete. So that's basically one route you can go. Give your customer the three options as to what it's going to be like. The other option is you could sit them down and just go through an expectation with them, and you can tell them, okay, for this particular job you need to do A, B, C, D, and give them the reasons for that and how long it's going to take. Get them to understand the process, and if you wish, and they have, you could. And I'd recommend people actually do this. If you make it a machine, or you sitting, and even if you have to draft a piece of advice, bring the client into the office and let them just sit in the corner with a cup of tea, and let them actually see what the staff does, and let them get an experience as to what it actually takes to produce what they want in the time frame that they want, and they'll gain more appreciation. So for that, and I think more businesses should do that. But if you talk with your customer, and you talk them through the process of delivering what they want, they will then gain an appreciation. But not just that, they will also gain trust with you, more trust with you, and you guys can work together to generate the product or result that your client wants. So that, I think, is one good advantage for doing that, right? So the other thing that the other set of behavior is just when you make commitments, just be careful about which commitments you do make, and take your time in deciding on those commitments, because that will help you develop trust a lot faster, and especially when it is with a new customer, and especially around about COVID time, because we will want new business in all the time, and we will want new customers all the time as well, especially with uncertainty. So if we take on a new job, and we are realistic with our commitments, but then when we make a commitment, to deliver on that commitment, and to do it again and again and again, and that way we will develop trust with new customers on a very quick basis. So so it's very important to take care in making the commitments before we actually make them. So that's just some of my thoughts on trust, and especially in this time where we have COVID, and there's a lot of money being bandied around, and just as long as we can maintain the trust that we have with our suppliers, our employees, and our financiers, and new customers, and with getting new jobs, then that would put us on a good footing to ride through this period. I won't say it's uncertainty, because I think there's always uncertainty, but it's just a period that we've got to ride through, and just go with that. So thank you for your time this morning, and I hope that you could resonate with some of the messages that I've shared, and I look forward to speaking to you again here on Money Talks. So this is Stephen Dedricks from Textile Limited, here on Money Talks with Radio Kidnappers. Thank you and goodbye.